Bonjour mes amis and welcome once again to the Nawtystep channel. I hope you're all doing very well indeed. Now before we get into this video, I'm just going to mention very quickly that I really appreciate all of the comments on the content so far. You have no idea how much all of that stuff means to me. Honestly, it's been a load of fun making these videos so far, but they wouldn't be anything without you guys engaging with them, watching the content and providing feedback, for which I am eternally grateful. That being said, if you have any ideas for rooms of improvement with the channel, then be sure to send them my way. I've already been sent a few little bits from some people that I'm quite keen to incorporate into the channel in the near future. But the general gist of this brief message is thank you, thank you, thank you, a million times thank you. Onwards and upwards, I say. And on with this newest review, and he's got the facts, he's got the tracks, and he's going to take it to the max. It's LAXX, with his debut album released on Never Say Die Records, Fake Friends. Also known as James Churchill, LAXX has made a name for himself in the dark electronic music scene with a collection of heavyweight trap belters. A generally mesmeric and mind-melting sound that has seen him release several EPs on Never Say Die prior to this album and collaborate with the likes of Snails, Hero Bust and Brills along the way. And whilst I only took to this style in its sharpest, most emphatic form, it certainly was enough to pique my interest for how much of a part it would play in an album format, and which other styles that LAXX would delve into, if any. But if you were familiar with LAXX's music coming into this album, then the twinkly, glistening and grand opening to Fake Friends introduces his style very well, with an escalating, progressively hardstyle-esque finish leading towards the album's first full track, High From It. A very Magnetic Man style song, it's a beautiful throwback to older styles in many ways, with the vocal from Bell Humble melting into the vocal chops in a fantastically haunting build-up. And whilst the drop is a tad empty, it's a nice experiment from LAXX and fits well as a style, especially with the vocal in tow. And it's at the second drop that I'm like, yes, this is the exact sort of trap breakdown that we have come to know and love LAXX for, with those final vocal chop notes leading off perfectly towards its end. And it's this drifting in and out of particular styles, using any available opportunities to experiment ideas-wise, that is this album's main selling point. This understanding is what makes Beneficial's lyrics in New Me particularly pertinent when he says new me but the same style, which could be read as LAXX holding on to the techniques that got him to where he is, whilst accessing other types of music production to give it that fresh look across 13 tracks. Providing its first big hit with the Dion Timmer collaboration Join Me, which catches the listener off guard and throws them off their seat somewhat. Jumping and skittering about fantastically, combining a wealth of very different sounds and making it all cohere seamlessly. The trap also hits particularly hard with Feels So Good, where the interaction between those electric flickering notes and the angelic vocal sample makes for a truly stunning track. But at other times where the trap is noticeably forceful, it just seems a little bereft of ideas. And here I'm talking of tracks like Turn the Clocks Back, The First Drop of Heart, Need You and Fiends. Actually, to be honest, in Fiends there were some slight switches up in note placement that really had me going. I do really like how this one plods along. But mostly with these cuts the percussion is snappy and captivating, but the note progressions aren't anything revolutionary. Especially considering the boundaries that LAXX broke originally all those years ago. And with those named tracks, I feel mostly like the majority of the notes were merely added in without giving any real input to the overall sound. They just seem relatively directionless in comparison to similar parts on other tracks within this album. There's also a fair amount of that distant, reverby trap sound here, which rarely makes for a solid end product. I'm thinking in this case of tracks like New Me, Signals and Ice Cold, with the first of these tracks definitely setting a standard in this respect, promising something massive with those fading in notes at the start of the first drop. But that just doesn't happen. It's a little bare and there's no real reach in terms of the note placement and the amount of sounds used. Its progression is relatively standard. But then I remember that this is the style that got him to where he is now, so of course there's going to be a decent amount of tracks that sound like this on an album from him. Yet at the same time there is enough playing around with styles to make this album an extremely appealing one on the ear. The title track is one of those extremely welcoming surprises. It's just such a naughty little house tune. Those preparatory moments in the build-up are the perfect warning for something extremely cheeky coming on the horizon. And I did find it interesting that this one was the title track, as if it stands as a representation of the album as a whole. Which, on reflection, it certainly doesn't. But maybe this one was his favourite to produce. I mean, it certainly is the most uplifting of all the tracks. I mean, it could have been for any reason, but it's just a nice, inviting moment for reflection on the album's concept as a whole. The other most noteworthy point of experimentation, in my opinion, comes with the song Let 'Em Know. A fuzzy, glowing, garage trap hybrid that sizzles from beginning to end. A great interaction between sounds throughout. And so bringing these examples of LAXX's classic style together with these instances of overt experimentation, you can see that Fake Friends is an extension of the LAXX style, but that it also does what an album should, experimenting with different genres and techniques throughout. It's got trap, it's got house, it's got garage, and all infused with these very intense dubstep sounds which make it a very nice blend of differing styles overall. And in turn, with these different production techniques, there's a larger array of moods covered and emotional avenues to go down. There's the heavier, more brooding tracks, and then the catchier, more fun tracks, or the sadder, more heart-wrenching ones. And it is here once again that I must refer to those very telling words from Beneficial. It's a new me with the same style. Because LAXX is evidently clinging to his skeletal approach to musical production, especially percussion-wise. But the fact that it is an album alone for me implies that experimentation is its focal point. And that is undeniably apparent in Fake Friends from start to finish. I mean, he couldn't make his original style stretch over 13 tracks now, could he? And beyond that, I feel like the vocal snippets, not necessarily the vocals themselves, are the things I like most about this album. High From It, Feels So Good, Heart, Ice Cold, Need You. I mean, it's just such a fixture in this album as a whole. But this range of different aspects or elements is fully reflective of how Never Say Die, or Schism in particular, gives such free rein when it comes to album production, and that is what I love this record label for. I mean, just think of the different genres accessed by Zomboy in his Outbreak album, for example. I think detractors will point to LAXX's original style being too present in this album, and therefore concluding that there's not enough that really stands out, or that's unique, breaking boundaries in the way that LAXX did when he burst onto the bass scene in the first place. But I think that the deeper you dig with this thing, beyond the ideas themselves and into the depths of his design, the more you realise that this is a really solid piece of work, full of flavour, character and feeling. He just has that way of elevating quite basic structures into anthems through vibrant and electrifying synth usage. High pitches, reverb, distancing of the sounds from the percussion, I mean, whatever you want from him in that respect, he's got it. And in conclusion, I feel like it's the type of music that you will get more and more out of the more you listen to it. And in terms of a favourite track from Fake Friends, I would either have to go for the title track or Feel So Good. I can't quite tell them apart in terms of the impact that they have on me. Both provide completely different moods, one cheeky and the other vulnerable, but they both really hit the spot with their respective tones. And recommendation-wise, if you enjoyed this album, then I would definitely say check out Must Die's album, Death and Magic. This is another album illustrating a predominantly one-style artist venturing into all sorts of different modes of production and genres. It's one of my favourite albums of all time. I mean, it's just so ridiculously well put together. And so that is that for yet another review. This time of LAXX's new album, released on Never Say Die Records, Fake Friends. Thank you, as always, for watching. Like this video, share it about, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with your thoughts on this album from LAXX. What did you guys make of it? And don't forget, if you haven't already, to like and follow Nawtystep across all social media. Everything linked, including that sole recommendation, in the description box down below. I hope you enjoyed this one, and never forget, if it's naughty, then you know. So keep it naughty, guys, and whatever you do, stay safe. And I shall see you in the next one. Peace.